Are we shooting people, or what? That line isn't just iconic. It captures the entire spirit of Three Kings better than any tagline ever could. Because Three Kings wasn't just a Gulf War heist movie. It was a battleground behind the camera, a powder keg of wild ideas, explosive tempers, and filmmaking experiments no studio would dare approve today. Equipment breaks, fights erupt, actors walk off set. The director pushes the crew into real danger. And yet somehow, out of all that chaos, a modern classic emerges. Today, we're revealing 20 weird facts about Three Kings you didn't know, including a bonus fact so strange that even the cast rarely discusses it publicly. Buckle up, hit that like button. Let's begin. Fact number 1. The director refuses standard war movie rules. David O. Russell walks onto the set with one mission: don't make a single frame look like any other war movie from the 90s. And he doesn't just change the visuals, he throws the entire rulebook out. He orders experimental lenses. He pushes the cinematography team to mimic photojournalist film stock captured during the Gulf War. He even tells the crew to make it look like news footage that's too real to be comfortable. This insistence creates daily tension. Some crew members worry the movie will look inconsistent. Others say the dailies are so raw they resemble unfinished test footage. But Russell refuses to compromise. The studio panics, but he keeps pushing. It isn't style for style's sake. Not realism, but hyper-realism, the kind that feels like it's happening right now. And it defines the film's legacy. Fact number 2. George Clooney nearly quits on week 1. George Clooney signs on expecting a bold war movie. What he doesn't expect is a director who works like a whirlwind. Russell changes blocking without warning. He rewrites pages on set. He pushes actors through multiple takes with no breaks. Very quickly, Clooney hits a breaking point. Crew members recall that he confronts Russell early in the shoot, saying the set feels chaotic and unsafe. Clooney nearly walks away before the first major scene is even completed. The tension becomes so noticeable that the production office temporarily moves meetings away from the main set to reduce public blow-ups. It isn't actor versus director. It's structure versus improvisation, discipline versus creative storm. Despite everything, Clooney stays and his performance becomes one of the most controlled, grounded pieces of the entire film. Fact number 3. The script begins as a completely different movie. Before it becomes Three Kings, the script is a modest indie project called Spoils of War. It's tighter, smaller, less explosive, a character story with limited action. Enter David O. Russell, who rewrites almost everything. He reconstructs the tone. He adds new characters. He layers in political commentary, satire, and gritty battlefield realism. The studio loves the ambition, but panics at the scale. Every revision balloons the budget. Producers worry he's turning a straightforward heist drama into something unmarketable. Russell insists it must be funny, brutal, strange, and emotional at the same time. Not a satire, not a war film, but a genre collision that says something new about America's post-war identity. And somehow, through constant rewriting and resistance, the script becomes the movie we know today. Fact number 4. The bullet-through body shots are revolutionary. Audiences remember the surreal, traveling bullet effect, a shot that glides through organs and shows internal damage in graphic detail. What fans don't know is how groundbreaking those shots actually are. Russell wants a way to show the consequences of violence without glamorizing it. But CGI in 1999 is expensive and unreliable. So the effects team builds a hybrid model, practical prosthetics, enhanced with digital tracking. The first time the sequence plays in dailies, producers sit in stunned silence. It doesn't look like a special effect. It looks like medical footage. Some crew members admit it makes them physically uncomfortable. Not spectacle, not shock factor, but a visual anatomy lesson meant to force viewers to rethink action scenes. The technique becomes so influential that later war films quietly borrow the concept. Fact number 5. The cast trains under real military advisors. Before cameras roll, the actors go through a rigorous boot camp-style training session run by former military personnel. Clooney, Ice Cube, Mark Wahlberg, and Spike Jonze learn everything from field maneuvers to communication protocols. The advisors insist on real formations, real terminology, and real weight in every piece of gear. Cast members say the training is physically exhausting but vital. Wahlberg later explains that the drill sergeant energy never leaves the set once shooting begins. But Russell pushes them even harder. He wants actors who move like soldiers, even when the script doesn't call for action. That authenticity pays off in the smallest details. How they hold weapons, how they clear rooms, how they breathe after sprinting across sand. Not actors pretending, but actors conditioned to respond like real soldiers under pressure. Fact number 6. Filming in the desert nearly breaks the crew. The heat is punishing. The sand is blinding. Equipment sinks, overheats, and fails constantly. Shooting days are long, and the environment becomes the movie's unofficial antagonist. Crew members report that lighting rigs refuse to stay anchored in soft sand. Camera housings overheat every few hours. Makeup teams fight dehydration lines forming on actors' faces during dramatic scenes. At one point, a sudden sandstorm forces the set to shut down for nearly an entire day. When it clears, they discover parts of the set buried. Some props disappear entirely. It isn't just a location. It's a battlefield one that tests every department. Yet, the struggle creates stunning authenticity. When characters squint into bright horizons or trudge through pale dunes, it's not acting. It's survival. Fact number 7. A real explosion sends debris flying toward the stars. Three Kings uses an unusually high number of practical explosions. Russell wants the shockwaves to feel physical, to push air, dust, and flame across the screen. During one effect's setup, the blast radius expands more violently than expected. Crew members recall watching debris shoot upward and outward, forcing actors to take cover even though they're standing at a safe distance. No one is injured, but the mood on set changes instantly. From that moment on, the effects coordinator tightens every procedure, and rehearsals become mandatory. Not reckless danger, but ambition brushing against real risk. A reminder that practical effects carry weight you can't control perfectly. The shot looks incredible. The experience behind the camera is unforgettable. Fact number 8. Ice Cube's role evolves dramatically during filming. Ice Cube signs on expecting a supporting role with limited depth. But as filming progresses, Russell begins rewriting scenes to expand his character's emotional arc. Cube brings a quiet intensity to every take. The crew notices how he anchors dramatic moments with subtle reactions. Soon, Russell shifts entire sequences to give him more screen time. This creative flexibility surprises Cube, who later explains that he felt like he earned the character's expanded presence through performance, not negotiation. The studio initially questions the changes, but Russell insists the movie needs a calm, grounded presence amid the chaos. Not comic relief, not background support, but a moral center shaped in real time as the film evolves. Fact number 9. Spike Jonze's casting confuses everyone. Spike Jonze, known primarily as a director, joins the cast in a rare acting role, and it shocks nearly everyone. Producers hesitate. Crew members wonder if audiences will accept him as a character rather than a filmmaker. Even Jonze himself admits he's nervous stepping in front of the camera, but Russell sees something others don't. Jonze has an off-balance energy, a nervous sincerity that fits perfectly for the role. Once filming begins, Jonze surprises the entire cast with his emotional commitment and comedic timing. Not stunt casting, not a novelty, but a performance that becomes one of the film's unexpected highlights. His character's jittery enthusiasm and uneasy innocence add a layer the movie didn't know it needed. Fact number 10. Wahlberg performs several dangerous scenes himself. Mark Wahlberg insists on doing several intense sequences without a double, including close-quarter struggle scenes and physically draining capture moments. The crew warns him repeatedly about exhaustion risks, but Wahlberg pushes on, saying the realism helps him stay inside the character's fear and adrenaline. This decision leads to several takes where he emerges bruised, scraped, and visibly shaken. Russell loves the rawness, but shortens shooting days to prevent injury. And yes, this is the moment where we say, go ahead and like and subscribe, because the behind-the-scenes stories only get stranger from here. Wahlberg's self-driven intensity pays off. Not staged pain, but real physical toll, captured on film. Fact number 11. Warner Bros. Fears the film is too political. Executives at Warner Bros. Watch early cuts and panic. The movie is funny, then violent, then emotional, then sharply critical of foreign policy, all in one scene. They worry audiences won't understand the tone. They worry governments might object. They worry the humor undermines the message. Or the message undermines the action. Meetings drag on. Notes pile up. Russell pushes back on nearly every request for tone adjustments. Not controversy for controversy's sake, but a refusal to dilute perspective. In the end, the studio releases the film largely unchanged, a rare outcome for a movie this bold. Fact number 12. Real refugee footage inspires key scenes. During pre-production, Russell studies extensive Gulf War refugee footage. What he sees shapes the entire tone of the film. He instructs the cast to watch real interviews, focusing on voices, posture, and emotional fatigue. Some scenes involving civilians are rewritten to echo documented experiences without replicating them exactly. What audiences don't know is that several background actors are individuals with personal connections to the region, adding emotional authenticity to scenes involving displacement and fear. Not imitation, not exploitation, but a cinematic mirror held up to real suffering, handled carefully to retain humanity rather than spectacle. It's one of the film's most grounded creative decisions. Fact number 13. The ending nearly gets rewritten multiple times. The ending of Three Kings isn't just revised once. It goes through waves of rewrites, each version shifting the movie's emotional DNA. The earliest cut ends on a grim note, quiet, bleak, and intentionally unresolved. Russell loves its honesty, but when test audiences watch it, the room reportedly feels heavy and disconnected. Viewers admire the craft, but feel no closure. So Russell begins reshaping. He rewrites the final scenes repeatedly, adjusting tone, refining the emotional beats, and rethinking character arcs. Clooney and Wahlberg shoot multiple alternate endings, some painfully realistic, others satirical, a few almost ironic in tone. The studio grows anxious. Crew members whisper that the film might never find the right landing. But during late-stage editing, Russell discovers a middle path, a conclusion that blends accountability with hope, reality with uplift, without betraying the film's message. Not Hollywood comfort, not hopeless tragedy, but a calibrated resolution that honors the journey while still leaving viewers unsettled. It becomes one of the most debated creative choices in the film's legacy. Fact number 14. The famous oil lake scene is a practical nightmare. The oil lake sequence looks surreal on screen, but behind the camera, it's a logistical nightmare bordering on disaster. Russell insists on practical realism, so the effects team constructs a massive artificial pool filled with a thick, dark liquid engineered to mimic crude oil. No CGI, no shortcuts. But once the desert heat hits the surface, the liquid behaves unpredictably. It thickens, then thins. It reflects too much light. Actors sink deeper during takes than rehearsals. Wahlberg reportedly struggles to stay upright as his boots disappear several inches below the surface. Crew members have their own challenges. Lighting becomes nearly impossible because the shifting surface acts like a moving mirror. Grip teams constantly rebuild platforms. Wardrobe crews spend hours scraping hardened oil-like residue off costumes between takes. Not glossy digital effects, not safe, temperature-controlled water tanks, but a dangerous, unpredictable pit that actors must navigate with genuine caution. The physical struggle you see on screen, it's real, and it becomes one of the most haunting visuals in the entire film. Fact number 15. Russell uses improvisation in a war film. War films typically rely on strict blocking and precise choreography, but Russell rejects that tradition. He tells the cast to find chaos inside the chaos, encouraging them to improvise reactions, lines, and movement even during intense action sequences. This approach shocks the crew. They're used to sequences where every footstep is planned for safety, but Russell believes unpredictability will create the tension and confusion real soldiers experience. Clooney and Wahlberg embrace the method immediately, surprising co-stars with unscripted confrontations, emotional shifts, and spontaneous dialogue. Some moments born from improvisation reshape entire scenes. A few exchanges intended as comedic become emotionally heavy. Others, meant to be tense, become darkly funny. Russell keeps many of these unplanned moments because they feel alive, messy, human, and immediate. Not looseness, not lack of direction, but structured unpredictability, anchored by trust in the actor's instincts. This improvisational approach becomes a defining characteristic of Three Kings, giving the film its strange, electric rhythm. Fact number 16. Authentic gear causes real strain on actors. To maintain authenticity, the cast wears real military gear, not lightweight replicas. Helmets, vests, loaded belts, and packs match the weight soldiers carried during the Gulf War. The decision elevates realism, but punishes the actors physically. Filming under desert heat turns that weight into a burden. Wahlberg slumps into chairs between takes, drenched in sweat. Clooney removes gear only long enough to drink water before strapping in. Again, Ice Cube presses through fatigue quietly, focusing on breathing patterns taught during training. The exhaustion on screen isn't acting. Wardrobe crews monitor the cast closely, worried about heat stress. Makeup artists constantly fight dehydration lines forming around the eyes. The camera department notices how the real gear influences body movement. Shoulders tighten, posture shifts, steps become heavier. Not costume design, not decorative authenticity, but real, physical strain woven into every performance. The weight soldiers carried becomes the weight the actors carry, and it changes the tone of nearly every scene. Fact number 17. A key chase. Scene is shot guerrilla style. One of the film's most intense chase sequences isn't shot with cranes, dollies, or elaborate rigs. It's filmed guerrilla style, using handheld cameras and spontaneous movement. Russell decides overnight that the scene should feel chaotic, less like a movie, and more like a news crew stumbling into a conflict. The crew voices concerns immediately. Guerrilla shooting means unpredictable motion, inconsistent lighting, and increased safety risks. But Russell insists the rawness will capture a level of urgency choreography can't replicate. When filming begins, the set transforms into organized chaos. Camera operators sprint alongside actors. Extras react instinctively. The sound department struggles to capture clean audio amid dust and shouting. Later, when studio executives watch the footage, they're shocked in a good way. The handheld shots give the sequence a frantic immediacy that polished rigs can't achieve. Not controlled spectacle, not smooth, cinematic precision, but messy, kinetic realism, captured in real time. Fact number 18. The film's satirical tone confuses early test audiences. In early screenings, viewers don't know how to react. Some laugh during tense moments. Others stay silent during scenes meant as satire. The tonal blend is so unfamiliar that audience cards come back filled with conflicting interpretations. Executives panic. They worry the film is too strange, too sharp, too emotionally unpredictable. They suggest toning down humor, smoothing transitions, and simplifying themes. Russell refuses. To him, the surreal mixture is the point the Gulf War as a landscape of confusion, contradiction, and absurdity. During editing, Russell and his team tighten pacing, sharpen visual cues, and refine scene transitions. Slowly, the tone becomes clearer, not conventional, but coherent. By final cut, the movie's voice is unmistakably bold. Not confusion, not misdirection, but intentional tonal engineering, forcing audiences to confront the strange duality of real conflict. The film ultimately becomes celebrated for the very elements early viewers resisted. Fact number 19. Background extras create some of the film's most emotional moments. Many extras playing civilians aren't traditional actors. They're individuals with personal or family experiences connected to conflict zones. When the cameras roll, their reactions, fear, exhaustion, resilience come from lived memory, not rehearsed performance. The cast later describes these days as the most emotionally heavy of the shoot. Wahlberg mentions how the weight of real stories shifted the tone of scenes. Clooney recalls moments where silence on set lasted long after the director called cut. In scenes depicting evacuations or families hiding among ruined structures, the emotions feel startlingly raw. Crew members notice how the extras instinctively form protective clusters or move with deliberate caution, reflecting real behavioral patterns observed in crisis situations. Not scripted drama, not emotional manipulation, but authentic human experience, respectfully integrated into the film. These performances add a layer of truth that anchors the movie's larger messages about survival, displacement, and unintended consequences. Fact number 20. Russell fights to keep the film's odd humor. The studio repeatedly pressures Russell to reduce the film's weird humor, fearing audiences won't understand the tonal mix. They worry that moments of awkward comedy will undercut emotional scenes or confuse viewers during moments of tension. Russell refuses. To him, the absurdity isn't comic relief, it's reality. Soldiers often describe wartime moments as strangely funny, surreal, or sharply ironic. He wants that truth preserved. He keeps awkward pauses, asymmetrical framing, sudden tonal shifts, and offbeat line deliveries that feel intentionally wrong. Editors initially question the rhythm, but as the cut evolves, the odd humor becomes crucial to the film's unique identity. It amplifies the satire, while making dramatic moments feel sharper in contrast. Not misplaced jokes, not tonal mistakes, but intentional discomfort, a window into how people psychologically navigate conflict. This insistence becomes one of Russell's defining creative stands during production. Three Kings wasn't just a war heist film. It was a controlled storm, one where vision clashed with chaos, and creativity battled heat, exhaustion, and doubt. And somehow, out of all that turbulence, we got a film that still feels bold, sharp, and ahead of its time. If you enjoyed uncovering these secrets, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories Hollywood hides. Until next time, keep your eyes open. There's always more behind the scenes.